Just one. A bird need not be taught how to fly. Correct? So after some time, bird starts flying in the air without undergoing any pilot training. Correct? Is inherently there in the bird. Similarly, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kavunai. Love for Krishna or love for the Supreme Lord is there in every living entity by design. Sadhya Kavunai. It need not be obtained from some external source. It is right there in the soul. Shravan Adi Shuddha Chitte Kare Uday. When we hear the holy name, Shuddha Chitte, it cleanses the consciousness. It removes all the material contamination, Kare Uday, and it manifests that love which already exists in the soul. Correct? So all these people who sit in the audience, they have no idea who Krishna is, what is Gita, what is holy name. But simply they heard the holy name with some faith, some Shraddha, and they relished, they felt blissful. Isn't it? So irrespective of external body could be Indian, could be Australian, could be American, could be Russian. It does not matter. The soul which resides inside the body is Krishna conscious by design, is a part and parcel of Krishna, as Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita. Mamev ansh jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Every living entity, without exception, is part and parcel of me. This is Krishna's statement. So all these people, they're all Krishna conscious by design. Right? But when they hear the holy name constantly, that love which is already there, it simply manifests again. That's why today across the world, millions of people who do not have Indian body, they are chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Why? Can you sing one Bollywood song more than 1 week? Please tell me. Can you sing one song again and again? Any song. You'll get bored after some time, correct? Why? That is material vibration, material sound vibration. But the holy name is spiritual sound vibration. Devotees have been chanting this name for the last 40 years. They don't get bored. Why? Why? Because the name is non-different from Krishna. Name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. All the potencies which Krishna has are also existing in his holy name. That's why when Draupadi shouted, Krishna, please save me. Krishna was in Dwarka and Draupadi is being disrobed in Hastinapur, Delhi. So who saved Draupadi? Krishna's holy name. Okay. Krishna's holy name saved Draupadi. So anyone who is chanting this holy name with faith, he can experience Krishna. Right? So when you chant the holy name with faith, Krishna manifests himself and gives the chanter experience of his presence. Okay. Now this 10 minutes Kirtan video, you felt something different. Isn't it? You felt blissful. Why? Because the soul in this 10 minutes went back to his natural position. Like fish goes back into water in his natural position and feels blissful. You felt blissful. Okay. Makes sense? Logical? Hmm? And this lady who is singing, her name is Janvi Mataji. She's a wonderful Kirtaniya. You can find more videos of her on YouTube. Okay. So today our plan is like this. We'll do a couple of verses, uh, 8, 9, 10, maybe 3 verses. And towards the end, 15 minutes, we'll spend understanding why should one keep Ekadashi. How many of you saw that video which I had sent? I'm sure not many of you would have seen. Everybody is very busy. That's why we gave this task to Sunil Prabhuji to make a small summary. Thank you, Humata. Small summary, and it's an age of instant, instant Maggie, instant coffee. People don't have time to go through 1 hour lecture, 1.5 hour lecture. So you'll get instant Ekadashi recipe today. Okay. So why should one keep Ekadashi? Both spiritual and scientific reason. Okay. Because our brain is still more science oriented than spirituality oriented. So we'll give both the reasons why should one observe Ekadashi fast. Okay. So still we'll try to be within our stipulated time. 145 max, including Q&A. Is that okay? So 5 minutes, let's summarize. Thank you, Sri Gopal. So 5 minutes, we'll summarize what we discussed in the previous session before we go ahead. Okay. Anyone would like to volunteer key highlights of the last session? Anyone? Key highlights. Pin drop silence. बहुत समय कम है, जल्दी जल्दी कीजिए. One should surrender to his teacher. Very good. Thank you very much. Who is DK? I'm sorry, I'm not able to. Dipesh. Okay, very nice. Thank you. So one should surrender. Like Yudhishthira approached Dronacharya in a mood of surrender, and he got a blessing, Vijay Bhav. So when you surrender unto your spiritual master, your teacher, you get a lot of blessings, right? Duryodhan did not get blessings. Why? He went to his spiritual master to give order, not take blessings. So Dronacharya kept silent. He did not reciprocate at all. Very good. What else? Submissive mood, eagerness to learn, and obedience. Very good. 3 important characteristics of a disciple. Whether you are studying here or you're studying in a school or you're studying in a college, one should exhibit these 3 important characteristics to ensure knowledge flows from teacher to the disciple. First one was eagerness to learn, curiosity, jigyasa, hunger for the knowledge, right? If one doesn't have hunger, you don't relish food, isn't it? When you feel hungry, then you enjoy food. And second one is obedience. So you will get many instructions, during different sessions. Instruction given by Srila Prabhupada, different acharyas who have understood the subject very deeply. So our duty is to assume that instruction is for me, not for the neighbor, for me. Okay. This acharya is telling me what to do. So you can treat all these instructions as personal instructions. So Aishwarya Mata should think, what I learned today, that instruction was specifically given to me. Then there is ownership. There is sincerity to implement an instruction. And third one is grateful, right? One should be very grateful for the knowledge one is receiving from his spiritual master. Grateful heart is the most fertile heart to grow devotion. Okay, you understand fertile? If you have to grow the plant of devotion in a heart, we have to be always in the mood of being grateful to our spiritual master, to any teacher for that matter who is teaching you. Okay. Very good. So 3 qualities of disciples. What else? What else? मैं ज़्यादा ध्यान देता नहीं chat box की तरफ, है ना? तो if you write something, sometimes doesn't, I'm not able to see. So you can raise your hand, then I can unmute. Yes, Sri Gopal.
Duryodhana met like king, whereas Yudhishthir met like Shishya.
Very good. The one met like a disciple and one went to give order like a king. Thank you. Any last comment? Then we move ahead. Yes, Rajan Prabhuji.
You also mentioned about Panch Tattva.
हाँ, नाम बताइए.
Chaitanya, Lord Krishna.
Very good.
मैं लिख के पढ़, मैं
हाँ, आप देख के पढ़िए. No problem. देख के पढ़िए. बोलिए.
Chaitanya, Lord Prabhu, Lord Krishna, sorry, Nityananda, Balram, Advaita, Lord Vishnu, Gadadhar, Srimati Radharani, and Shrivas, incarnation of Narad Muni.
Very good. Wonderful. Panch Tattva. Who are the 5 characters in Panch Tattva? Very nice. Thank you very much. So it reflects attentive hearing. Thank you very much. I was talking in the morning session. When you hear, you should try to see the intellectual structure behind what you're hearing. Means you should be able to relate with the previous session. Different verses. What is the connection? Why is Krishna speaking like this? So you have to apply your intellect. It is not simply reading for the sake of reading. It is trying to study. It is trying to study, analyze what is being heard. So apply your intellect, and secondly, apply your heart. Very important. Both have to be in place while hearing. Else it will become mechanical hearing. Like you hear many things in TV, on FM. It will become one of such hearings. Then this 1 hour of investment will not yield desired result. So keep your intellect and heart both together when you hear these sessions. Okay, you should always have a notebook, pen to write down key highlights, which you can revise later. Okay, thank you very much. So let's proceed. So one more thing I would like to highlight is when we read spiritual subject matters, there'll be many things which are beyond our material mind's imagination. That's why many scholars call such scriptures as mythology. Have you heard this term? Mythology. What is mythology? Mythology means all myth. जो भी पढ़ रहे हैं सब झूठ है ना? Once somebody went to a library to ask for a book of Bhagavad Gita. When he was guided by somebody in the librarian, he said, there are 2 sections. One is history, another is mythology. You will find Bhagavad Gita in the mythology section. यानी कि जो भी कहा गया वो सब झूठ है. myth hai. In fact, our children in our schools are taught like this mythology. It's the worst thing which can happen to our education system. So, you know, पानीपत की लड़ाई हिस्ट्री है और भगवद गीता मिथ है. The novel on battles of Panipat is found in history section, and Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they are found in mythology section. So this is not myth. Why people sometimes think this subject matter is a myth? Because it is beyond their ability to comprehend. समझ रहे हैं ना, उनकी समझ से बाहर है ये विषय. Let me explain technically how it is beyond their imagination. Our soul is covered by two types of bodies. One is called subtle body, another is called gross body. Soul, one covering, another covering. What you see outside is gross body, made up of Panch Mahabhut, Earth, Vayu, Agni, Vayu, Jal, Akash, 5 material elements. And there are 3 subtle elements in the subtle body: mind, intelligence, and false ego. 3 of them. Now in Panch Mahabhut, the most grossest is earth and the most subtlest is ether, Akash. Correct? Earth you can see easily. But Vayu and ether you can't see. So it's subtle, Sukshma. When you go to subtle body, your mind is subtler than ether. Your intelligence is even more subtler than mind. And false ego is even more subtler than intelligence. But the subject matter of Krishna, or the spiritual subject matter, is even more subtler than false ego. So there is no ability in this body to comprehend spiritual subject matter, or experimentally find out who is God and where does he reside. You cannot find out in laboratory. So our science can never discover. If you see top 10 open questions in our science, in our technology, you will find these subject matters. What is consciousness? They can't explain. How do we have more universes like this universe? They can't explain. What is spiritual world? They can't explain. It is beyond their ability to find out. Why? They are more sukshmatamam. They are very, very subtle. So when they can't find out in the laboratory or scientifically, they term such scriptures as myth. So in spiritual subject matters, faith is very important. Shraddha is very important. Let me tell a small story. Some of you would have heard about this. Once Narad Muni was going to Vaikuntha, spiritual world. So here in material world, he met a Brahmana. Brahmana is supposed to be a very learned person. So he told Brahmana asked Narad Muni, where are you going? Maharaj, कहाँ जा रहे हैं आप? बोला मैं विष्णु के पास जा रहा हूँ मिलने के लिए. I'm going to Vaikuntha to meet Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Brahman asked Narad Muni, so if you're going there, please ask Vishnu, when will I get liberation from this material world? When will I reach Vaikuntha? Narad Muni said, okay, definitely I'll ask. This Brahman was like busy doing his rituals and he did not even pay obeisances to Narad Muni. So when, after some time, Narad Muni met one cobbler, Mochi, who was sitting under a big tree. So he told the same thing to Cobbler, and Cobbler asked him the same thing. When you go to Vishnu, please find out when will I get a chance to serve him in Vaikuntha. यानी कि मैं कब निकलूंगा यहाँ से. So both asked same question, and when Narad Muni reached Vaikuntha, he met Vishnu, and he told about the desires of these two persons, Cobbler and Brahmana, to find out when will they get delivered from this material world. Vishnu said, please tell Brahmana, he will take 7 more lifetimes to come here. And please tell Cobbler, he will come in this lifetime itself. So Narad Muni was perplexed. If Brahmana, who is supposed to be more learned, he will take 7 more lifetimes. And this Cobbler, who is a Shudra, 4th class in terms of his knowledge, and he will come in this lifetime itself. So Narad Muni asked Vishnu, why so? So Vishnu said, when they asked, what was I doing in Vaikuntha, you tell them, I was trying to pass an elephant through the eye of a needle. They will ask you, okay, what was Vishnu doing in Vaikuntha? You tell them, Vishnu was playing a game. What game? He was passing an elephant through the eye of a needle. Narad Muni couldn't understand what is he trying. So anyway, he came down to material world and he went to Brahmana. And Brahmana, as usual, was busy in his ritual. He did not pay much respect to, Narad Muni. And then he asked, Narad, did you inquire about my question? When will I get delivered from this place? So he told Brahmana, it will take 7 more lifetimes. Brahmana got very, very angry. 7 more lifetimes? He said, yes. He बोला कि तुम गए ही नहीं वैकुंठ. तुम ऐसे बेवकूफ बना रहे हो मेरे को. You didn't even reach Vaikuntha. Okay, tell me, if you went to Vaikuntha, what was Vishnu doing? Please tell me. You want to know? He said, yes. So Vishnu was passing an elephant through the eye of a needle. तो ब्राह्मण ऐसा हो सकता है क्या? क्या एक सुई की आंख में से हाथी निकल सकता है क्या? बेवकूफ बना रहे हो क्या मेरे को? Are you making a fool out of me? You did not go to Vaikuntha, I am sure. So Brahmana understood, Narad Muni understood why he will not go in this lifetime. Then he went to Cobbler, and Cobbler, got up from his seat, paid obeisances to Narad Muni, gave him some prasadam, and then asked, you must have gone to Vaikuntha. So what was Vishnu or Lord Vishnu doing there? So he told the same thing to Cobbler. He was passing an elephant through the needle. And Cobbler said, yeah. He can do anything. He is God, na? He can do anything. Then he pointed towards the tree under which he is sitting. He said, if he can hide this big tree in a small seed, why can't he pass elephant through a needle? What is the big deal? इतने छोटे से बीज में से इतना बड़ा पेड़ निकलता है. If you can hide such a big tree in a small size seed, why can't he pass elephant? Narad Muni understood. He has deep faith in the God, and hence he is eligible to go in this lifetime, and Brahmana has still not developed faith. Okay? So whatever we're going to hear in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, it may sound like kaise ho sakta hai aisa? How is it possible? But we have to have faith. Why faith? These are the words of Krishna himself, not ordinary person speaking about. We may not be able to comprehend immediately what we hear, but we must have full faith in what we hear. We can always clarify, we can always get deeper to understand more, but we should not deny the factual position of these statements, what we hear. Very, very important. We should have full faith. That is first condition when we read Bhagavad Gita. Okay? There are 6 things. If you don't, express faith, they will not deliver value. For example, you go to a doctor and you do not have faith in doctor, then the treatment will not deliver value. If you recite a mantra, and if you don't have faith in mantra, then mantra will not deliver any value. If you go to a holy place, and you do not have faith in the holy place, it's useless visiting holy places. So there are few things like Shastras, scriptures. If you don't have faith in scripture, it's useless reading those scriptures. If you're a spiritual master, you don't have faith in his instructions, then it's useless to have spiritual master. So few things will reciprocate, only when we express deep shraddha or faith in them. Otherwise, they will not deliver back. They will not reciprocate. Make sense? For example, सबके घर पे विग्रह होते हैं, भगवान का विग्रह है, मूर्ति है, ठीक है. Somebody may think, अरे तो मूर्ति है, पत्थर की मूर्ति है. So for him, it is पत्थर की मूर्ति only. But someone treats him like Krishna. Oh, he's Krishna himself. Let me feed him. Let me dress him. For him, it is Krishna only. समझ रहे हैं ना मैं क्या कह रहा हूं? So Krishna will reciprocate the way we express our faith. Yen yatha mam prapadyante tam tathay bhajamiham. Krishna tells later. To the extent you express faith, to that extent I reciprocate. Okay? So if you express high level of faith, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. If you think it's all myth, then it's myth only. You will not learn anything. Okay? So that faith, shraddha in what we hear is very, very important. To develop this faith in Arjuna, Krishna told Arjuna, I gave this knowledge, I gave this instruction first to Lord Sun, Surya Dev, millions of years back. Why is telling all of this history of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna? To instill faith in him. Whatever I'm telling you is very important. Important person like Surya Dev was the first student of Bhagavad Gita before I'm telling you, to instill faith. Okay, so that faith factor is very important when we try to understand the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. Make sense? Can we proceed now? Faith is elevated. Everybody's faith is elevated. Maybe an inch, if not more. Okay. So we did till verse number, I think, 6. So in the previous session, we saw how Sanjay is now responding to the query made by Dhritarashtra. Dharam kshetre kurukshetre samveta yusva mamakaha pandavascheva kim kurva sanjay. क्या किया मेरे बच्चों ने और पांडु के बच्चों ने धर्म क्षेत्र कुरुक्षेत्र में जो युद्ध के लिए इकट्ठे हुए हैं, उन्होंने क्या किया? What did they do? That was the inquiry made by Dhritarashtra, and Sanjay is first responding. His son Duryodhan, what did he do? That we discussed in the previous session. Okay. Duryodhan went to Dronacharya, his spiritual master, and he was trying to instill anger in Dronacharya. At the same time, he was reminding Dronacharya not to become lenient to his favorite students, Pandavas. And whose name he took to instill anger? Anyone remembers? Yes, Himanshu.
Drupada's son, Drishtadyumna.
Drishtadyumna, very good. When I narrated the whole story, how both were friends and then they developed animosity, right?
Yes.
And then how Drupa's son, Drishtadyumna, who was born with the purpose of killing Dronacharya, and Drupa sent him to learn, this art of archery from Dronacharya. जिसको मारना है उसी से सीख के मारो. And he is reminding Dronacharya, see, he did already one mistake, by teaching Drishtomna, and he is the one who is arranging the army of Pandavas. That first mistake you've done. Don't do second mistake of becoming lenient now in the battlefield, just because they are your favorite students. Okay. Dronacharya ignored what he was saying. He didn't speak anything. He didn't reciprocate anything. And then he took names of various, warriors in Pandava's army. Okay. So he is now assessing the strength of his army and Pandava's army. Do you have any question, Mahajan Prabhu? You raise your hand. Hare Krishna. Okay. Correct. So he took names of many warriors who were fighting on behalf of Pandava's army. And now he is saying in verse number 7, Asmakam tu vishishtaye tannibodha vijottama nayakamam sainyasya sangyartham tan bravimite. He's saying, but for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. Now, after taking names of so many soldiers on the side of Pandavas, he was wondering, यार मैं पांडवों की सेना के सोल्जर्स का नाम ले रहा हूं कि मेरे सैनिक जो हैं वो demotivate ना हो जाएं. Let me also call out the names of big warriors on my side. This political mind, So he's thinking now, let me also motivate, people who are fighting from my side. Now he's going to tell you the names of who are the big warriors who are fighting on behalf of Kauravas. Verse number 8 onwards. He's saying, Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitim Jaya Ashwathama Vikarnascha Somadattis Tathevacha. There are personalities like you. Bhavan means you. You means, whom is telling? Dronacharya. ठीक है? तो he's telling, ठीक है, उनकी सेना में तो ये लोग हैं, लेकिन मेरी सेना में भी बड़े-बड़े लोग हैं, like you. Starting with like you. Bhavan means Dronacharya, like you. He's telling Dronacharya, Bhavan Bhishmas, and the first name he's taking after Dronacharya is Bhishma Pita. Sometimes people wonder why Bhishma fought from Kaurava's side. Now, Bhishma is not an ordinary person. Bhishma is one of the 12 Mahajanas. Mahajan means a person who understands religious principles in depth. So he is one of them. Who? Who is one of them? Bhishma. In Srimad Bhagavatam, I actually wanted to tell one story also, but time is limited. So I'll skip the story. So that story basically glorifies the glory of holy name, and then talks about one verse from Bhagavatam talking about 12 Mahajanas. Who are these 12 Mahajanas? Would like to know, other than Bhishma, who are the 12 people who are supposed to be the most learned in the science of spirituality? I'll share one verse and then we'll talk about it. This verse is spoken by Yamaraj to Yamadutas. Somebody may say, Yamaraj bhi hota hai kya? It's all myth. So you should read Bhagavatam. to find out. So in 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Yamaraj is telling his team, or his, who are the team members? Yamadutas. He's telling that there are 12 people. You can see the screen now? Okay. So you can note down the names. Who are the 12 Mahajans who are supposed to be knowing everything about spirituality, religious principles, and Bhishma is one of them. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Baler Vayasakir Vayam. Swayambhur means Brahma. Narada means Narada. Shambhu means Lord Shiva. 3 हो गए. Kumara, 4 Kumaras, 4 हो गए. Kapilo, Lord Kapila, 5 हो गए. Manu, Swayambhu Manu, 6. Prahlado, Prahlad Maharaj, 7. Janako, Janak Maharaj, 8. Bhishmo, Bhishma Pitama, 9. Balir, Bali Maharaj, 10. Vaya Sakir, Sukadev Goswami, 11. And Vayam means I. Who is speaking this verse? Yamaraj. So 12th is the Yamaraj himself. So these 12 are called Mahajana. Mahan Jan. Who is Mahan? One who understands spiritual subject matter. Mahatma. Who is Mahatma? Who is always under the care of spiritual energy of Krishna. Is called Mahatma. ऐसा नहीं कि महात्मा हम किसी के आगे भी लगा दें, किसको भी महात्मा बना दें. Mahatma Krishna defines in Bhagavad Gita. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakat ashrita. One who has taken the shelter of my spiritual energy, not material energy, is called Mahatmana. Similarly, Mahajan means who understands the spiritual subject matters in depth, can explain spiritual subject matters in depth. They're called Mahajana, and these 12 are the nominated Mahajanas. I'll repeat: Brahma, Narad, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, Bhishma Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami, and Yamaraj. Okay. And Bhishma is one of them. Bhishma also had benediction of Ichamrityu. He will die when he wants. Okay. The question is, if Bhishma was a devotee of Krishna, one of the 12 Mahajans, why did he fight on behalf of Kauravas? So there are external and internal reasons for this. External means to show the word. Internal means the real meaning, real understanding of the real reason for this. External is he was obligated to the king of Kuru dynasty. Whoever was the king, he felt obligated that I am responsible to this chair or this king, and hence I'll fight wherever this king asks me to fight. He felt obligated. So the external reason. But internal reason is, if Bhishma was not there in the side of Kauravas, Kauravas had no courage to go and fight this battle. So they had high level of confidence and courage to go and fight the battle because Bhishma was on their side. यदि भगवान भीष्म को कौरवों की तरफ नहीं रखते तो शायद युद्ध ही नहीं होता. कौरव जो कुरु डायनेस्टी है, कौरव हैं, ये युद्ध के लिए तैयार ही नहीं होते. This is one internal reason. And the even more internal reason is Bhishma wanted to give Virya Rasa to Krishna. So Krishna reciprocates with his devotees in 12 different rasas. Rasa means mellow. Like, as a mother, you reciprocate your child in Vasalya Rasa, parenthood Rasa. Correct? Yes or no? As husband and wife, you have a different Rasa. It's called conjugal Rasa. With your friends, you have a different way of treating, different level of reciprocation. That is called Sakhya Rasa in friendship. Like when Krishna will come and meet Pandavas, Krishna will touch the feet of Yudhishthira Maharaj and Bhim. Will embrace Arjuna. And Nakul said they will touch the feet of Krishna. So you can see different rasas, different mellows. So like this, Krishna can reciprocate with his devotees in different rasas. 12 rasas, out of which 5 are primary rasas and 7 are secondary rasas. 5 primary, mukhya, and 7 secondary, gaun. What are these 5 rasas in which Krishna reciprocates with his devotees? One is called Shantaras. Second is called Daseras. Third is called Sakheras. Fourth is called Vasalyaras. And fifth is called Madhuryaras. First is called mellow of neutrality. Second is called servitorship, Dasya, in the service mood. Third is Sakhe, friendship. Fourth is Vasalya, parenthood. And fifth is conjugal or Madhurya. These 5 are main rasas in which Krishna reciprocates. Like Krishna in Vaikuntha is treated like a master, and everybody is like, Om Jaya Jagadish Hari. So they serve him like a servant. This is called Dasya Rasa. Treating Krishna as master, the supreme, and worshipping him in awe and reverence. This is called Dasya Rasa. Shant Rasa means without any activity, without direct service. For example, flute is serving Krishna in neutral mode. Cows, different animals in Vrindavan, they serve Krishna in neutrality. No direct service, but they serve him different ways. Third is called Sakhya Rasa, like Arjuna. How Arjuna and Krishna used to be like friends. Isn't it? They will sit together, eat together, even sleep together, even go different places together. Sakhya Rasa. So Krishna can become your friend if you want. So Krishna can become your master if you want. So the fourth is called Vasalya Rasa. Like Krishna became a son of Yashoda. To experience the love of a father and mother. He became son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. This is called Vasalya Rasa. And the fifth one is called Madhurya. Like Krishna with Radharani or Krishna with gopis. It's called Madhurya, conjugal. Okay? Madhurya is supposed to be the most superior rasa, most intimate rasa one can experience with Krishna. So Krishna is ready to reciprocate in the manner we want. Speciality. And out of 7 gone or secondary, one of them is Virya Rasa. If Krishna wants to take joy out of fighting, he cannot fight with ordinary people. His devotees only can give him Virya Rasa, not ordinary people. So Bhishma came on the side of Kauravas to give him Virya Rasa. So these are internal reasons. External is, he was obligated to Kuru dynasty and hence he fought on behalf of. Okay? That is external reason. So this is Bhishma. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj conducted Rajasuya Yagya. It was Bhishma who established Krishna as Supreme Lord in that assembly. Krishna is Supreme Lord. Who established this fact? Bhishma. You heard about Shishupal, whom Krishna killed in that assembly? Have you heard about Shishupal? Please raise your hand if you heard about. अच्छा काफी लोगों ने सुना है, कुछ लोगों ने सुना, महाभारत देखा आपने? Okay, so he established who is Shishupal in reality. You heard about Raman? Let me ask this. I have to ask. Few days back, some students, young students, were being asked who is Ravan, who is, and the answers you got are amazing. They have no idea about, who is Ravan, who is Kansa, and they have no idea whatsoever. They're so busy these days with playing games on mobile or, watching cinema or serials. Nothing to do. They have no idea about our Vedic history. और किसी को भी किसी के भाई बनाते हैं. आप सुनिए वो वीडियो. I've seen this in WhatsApp. That actually reflects the state of our young generation. No connect with our Vedic Sanskriti. So Bhishma established who is Shishupal. आपके वीडियो बंद होते जा रहे हैं. It reflects, inattention. My language. Multitasking. Unless you're traveling like Humamata is traveling. Otherwise, please try to keep your videos on. You'll remain more attentive. Okay. And attentiveness in Krishna's class, and Bhagavad Gita, it means Krishna is taking the class, not me. I am only a mouthpiece, mic. So you all are student of Krishna. Okay, so Krishna is taking class, and how can we afford to be inattentive in Krishna's class? So when we become attentive in such classes, we attract Krishna's mercy, his blessings. Okay. So Bhishma explained who is the Shishupal, who is Dantavakras, who is Hiranyakashipu, who is Hiranyaksh, who is Ravan, who is Kumbhakaran. So in Vaikuntha, Vishnu had two doorkeepers with the name Jai and Vijay. क्या नाम है बताइए? Jai and Vijay. These Jai and Vijay, due to some conflict, they were cursed by 4 Kumaras. So these Jai Vijay from Vaikuntha came as Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu, 2 demons in Satyuga, came as Ravan and Kumbhakaran in Treta Yuga, came as Shishupal and Dantavakras in Dwapara Yuga. So originally they are Jai and Vijay, close associates of Lord Vishnu, to give Virya Rasa to Krishna here in the material world. So Bhishma established who is Shishupal. He is none other than his close associate. Right? So this is Bhishma. The point I'm trying to make is Bhishma is not an ordinary person. He was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Arjuna is confused, right, in Bhagavad Gita about his duty. Like this, Yudhishthira became confused after the battle. He was lamenting, oh, meri wajah se itne log mar gaye, meri wajah se itne log. He was lamenting day and night after the battle. Who? Yudhishthira Maharaj. Like Arjuna is lamenting before the battle, Yudhishthira lamented after the battle. Then Krishna tried to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj, like Krishna is doing here, trying to pacify Arjuna. Arjuna will understand. Yudhishthira didn't understand. Why? Because Krishna wanted to glorify Bhishma Pitama. So Krishna took Yudhishthira in front of Bhishma when he was lying on the bed of arrows, and Bhishma explained him and removed his lamentation. Who? Bhishma removed lamentation of Yudhishthira Maharaj, which Krishna could not do. Why? Krishna wanted to glorify his devotee Bhishma. How great this person is. So this is Bhishma for you, who is fighting with Pandavas, with Krishna in this battlefield. So, point I'm trying to make is when we hear Bhishma fighting on behalf of Kauravas, we should not minimize his position in our mind. Or he is one of like them, like Duryodhana. No, no, no. Duryodhana is a demon and Bhishma is a devotee. While both of them are fighting on the same side. Also, we should carry respect for Bhishma the way we carry respect for any of great devotees of Krishna. Okay? This is Bhishma. And then he is talking about Karna. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha. Now, Karna also was a very noble person. Dharmik Vyakti tha. But due to the association of a demon called Duryodhana, he also became with demoniac mentality. Right? Like Kakai got spoiled because of the association of mantra. Correct? Kakai used to love Ram so much. But bad association, bad thoughts, bad actions. Similarly, Karna got spoiled due to the association of Duryodhana. So what we can learn from these two historical events of Kakai and Karna, Danvir bolte hain usko, है ना, Karna ko. What we can learn from these events is the association we keep around us in terms of what people we associate with physically, what kind of books we associate with, what kind of material we associate with on television, in newspaper, has a huge impact on our thought process. And thought process finally translates into actions. Please repeat after me. Sangat Sanjayate Kama. Which means the kind of association you have, that kind of desires you manifest. जैसा संग वैसी इच्छाएं उत्पन्न होती हैं. इच्छाएं कहां से आती हैं हमारे हृदय के अंदर? The kind of association we keep. As simple as that. So we should always be very alert and very conscious about the kind of people we interact with. Are they helping me elevating my consciousness, or they are degrading my consciousness? Poor Karna could not think about this. He got degraded. Kakai got degraded in terms of her consciousness because of poor association, bad association. So if you always keep yourself in good association, you automatically avoid bad association. And a man is a social element. He needs some association. You cannot avoid and sit alone in the room. Oh no, I will not keep any association. I lock myself in the room. Not possible. So everybody has a natural tendency of associating with other people. Yes. So if you don't choose good, you will automatically choose bad. So you have to choose. Make a choice of associating with good people. Devotees, spiritually inclined people. Then you develop these desires. You develop desire of chanting, you develop desire of reading nice books, you develop desire of hearing kirtan due to the association. So the foundation of our devotional life or spiritual life is our association. Very, very important. So be very mindful of the kind of people you interact with. And be mindful of the children your children interact with. So they have the same impact, isn't it? और दिन भर देखेंगे वो कार्टून जिसमें केवल वायलेंस दिखाया जा रहा है, तो they'll pick up some weapon one day, like in America, isn't it? Why somebody picks up a weapon, a student picks up a weapon, goes and shoots everybody in the college, in the school. Why? This is what he's watching all day. He tries to be one of them. What he's seeing. So what is being shown on television these days? Violence, sex. What else? They develop those lusty desires. And then we blame them. कहाँ से सीख क्या है? अरे भाई आपके सामने टीवी चल रहा है, देखो क्या दिखता है अच्छा उसके अंदर. Please go and see what is he watching. He is watching same thing which he is reflecting externally. So be very mindful of these subtle subject matters which have a huge influence on our behavior, our thought process, our actions. Okay? So Karna got his knowledge or about. Actually, Karna wanted to learn how to shoot Brahmastra like Arjuna knew. But Dronacharya refused to give. Well, he wanted exclusively Arjuna only to know, or and his son little bit. And then Karna approached Dronacharya's guru to learn this. And who is this person? Parshuram. But Parshuram had a condition that he will teach only Brahmanas, not Kshatriyas. He removed Kshatriyas 21 times from this earth. So he didn't want to teach any Kshatriya. And he was a Kshatriya, Karna. So he lied. He spoke lie to Parshuram that, oh, I am a Brahmana, please teach me Brahmastra. So Parshuram taught him. Even declared that he is as good as me. So Karna was a great warrior. Parshuram declared he is as great a warrior like me. So once, Parshuram was feeling sleepy, so he slept, अपना कर्ण की गोद में सर रख के सो गए परशुराम जी. And after some time, a very dangerous, some worm, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, बिच्छू था या क्या था मुझे पता नहीं है. He came and started biting Karna's thigh. Now he's sleeping, Parshuram is sleeping, and he'd want Parshuram to get disturbed. So he tolerated that severe pain of that, creature biting him. And when Parshuram got up, he saw so much of blood coming from Karna's thigh, and he wondered, he's a Brahmana, he's not a Kshatriya, how come he didn't feel pain? If he's a Brahmana, he would have been crying with pain by now. But he did not, so it means he's a Kshatriya. He is not a Brahmana. So Karna ka jhoot samne aa gaya, and then he cursed him. He cursed Karna, you will forget this Brahmastra Vidya when you need it the most. And when Karna needed the most in the battlefield, he forgot due to this curse. So Karna, I'm sure many of you would have heard about Karna. And then he's talking about Kripacharya, Kripascha. Kripacharya was as good as Dronacharya, highly respected, Acharya. And he was one of those few who were not killed in this battlefield. Kripacharya survived after battlefield. He is even surviving today. He is still alive. And the next session I'll tell you, Brahma's lifetime, and then how Kripacharya will appear as one of the Saptarishis in the next Manvantara. What is Manvantara? What is Kalpa? What is Brahma's one day? What is Brahma's 100 years? That I'll explain next session. It's 2 o'clock already. Okay? So we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next session. So 10-15 minutes. We'll take more. I'm sorry for the delay. Sunil Prabhu has prepared a presentation to give you this essence of this lecture. Why should we observe Ekadashi, both spiritual and scientific reasons? So grateful to Sunil Prabhu. I saw his presentation. He's put a lot of effort. Nicely, crisply, has explained in few slides the essence of Ekadashi. So are you ready? Yes? Or you're in a hurry? You want to do it in next session? I leave it to you. How many are comfortable today? Please raise your hand. It'll take maybe 15 minutes. Okay, okay, ठीक है. Many of you are comfortable. Yes, over to you, Sunil Prabhu. I'm giving you co-host right, so you can share the presentation. Yes, now you can share from your computer.
Prabhuji, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can. You can maybe put it in the slideshow. Yes, perfect.
Okay. So before we start, thank you for giving me the seva of doing a summarization of the video which you shared. A disclaimer generally is that this PPT which I prepared is based on whatever I've heard and my limited knowledge. And for sure, I would need your support wherever you feel that my understanding is not right.
Please go ahead.
So, Ekadasi Upvas, we will basically understand that what it is and why do we need to do it. So from an agenda point of view, what does it mean from an internal and external point of view? Significance of fasting from a scientific and a spiritual view. Related FAQs which are there, which is how do we please Krishna by fasting, types of fasting, and who are exempted from it, and then the conclusion. So from an Ekadasi Upvas point of view, external meaning is that it is the 11th day of waxing and waning of moon, which is also called as Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. And the inner meaning is basically that we do this Upvas to stay close to Krishna from all our senses. The word Upvas, when we divide, is up means near or closer, and vas is to stay or reside. So that is what it is. And numerically, ek and das, so 1 and 10, which makes it 11. So that's the meaning. And the Ekadasi Upvas is also known as Harivasara, Madhav Tithi, and popularly also known as Gyaras. Shall I move to the next slide?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now, the most critical part of it is that what is the significance of fasting, right? So from a scientific point of view, so when the scientists study the concept of DNA, in the concept of DNA, there is a philosophy of junk DNA, or there is a concept of junk DNA, which from a long point of time was not known that what is the purpose of it. It was also speculated that because junk DNA does not has any purpose, God does not exist. The philosophy behind it is that God creates everything as perfect, right? And since the purpose of the junk DNA was not known, many of the people were saying that God does not exist because God cannot create anything which is imperfect. But recently, the purpose or the significance of junk DNA was known. We all know that cells duplicate and the DNA within them also duplicates. But the previous understanding was that cells can duplicate innumerably, right? So there is no limit to which the duplication stops. But as I mentioned recently, scientists came to know that with every cell split, a small portion of junk DNA is also lost. Right? And it was proved that from a range of 40 to 80 times the cell split, and after that the junk DNA is not there, and that's why cells don't split. The junk DNA splitting also has an impact on our aging, which is that we are moving towards death. So if we need to uh, increase our life, then scientifically there are only two methods, right? Either we reduce the cell splitting mechanism, or the portion of junk DNA which is lost with every split is of a very small portion, or it has to be very small. Now, when scientists did a lot of experiments, one of the experiments which they did was to reduce the calorie intake. Uh, so they selected a group wherein the experiment was done. And after 2 weeks, they saw that the results were very encouraging from the view that the cell split frequency was reduced, and also the portion of junk DNA which was lost with every split also was very small. But post 2 weeks, when the people on whom the experiments were done went back to their normal routine, then the junk DNA frequency and the cell splitting frequency went to the previous levels. So there was no benefit, or the benefit was just there for a limited period of time. And after doing multiple experiments, scientists found that the same results can be achieved if people fast for 36 hours in 2 weeks. And that is what we do in Ekadasi Upavas. So this was one scientific reason. Another scientific reason which was mentioned was that grains have high water retention capacity. Now, when we see that fruits and vegetables have also a very high water capacity, but then the retention capabilities are not there once we intake them. Right? It is also proved that moon has a maximum gravitational pull from 10th to 12th day. Right? So what has been proved is that since the grain has maximum water retention capacity, and we know whenever the moon's gravitational pull is very high, what happens to the water which is there on this earth, right? So it was said that if our body would have more water, then we know that what happens to the oceans, same will happen within our body. And scientists and doctors have also said that the maximum disease are created or elevated from the 11th day. And that is another reason that why we should not consume grains uh, on Ekadasi. So this was the scientific reason. Um, shall I move to the spiritual side of it?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
So from our from spiritual point of view, there have been many stories. Now here I have put in one of the story. Amrendra Prabhuji, so who created that YouTube video, has shared two stories, but here I have mentioned just one. So in the Puranas, there's a mention that Gemini Rishi was asking his spiritual guru Vyasadev that what do we mean by Ekadasi, And Vyasadeva said that many in future will have this query, but very few will inquire. And he started narrating the story. He mentioned that Lord Vishnu, after creation of this world, wanted a personification of sin. Means there has to be somebody who can punish the people when they commit sin. And he created somebody called as Papa Purusha to punish people for their sins. Uh, so after creation, Papa Purusha started punishing all the jivas for their sin. One day, when Lord Vishnu uh, went went to Yamraj's place, he heard a lot of cries and felt a lot of uh, pain in those cries of people. Right. Hearing this, Lord Vishnu asked Papa Purusha that how can we help these people, because he he felt very compassionate, right? And he said that how can he reduce such pain or such uh, the pain of the people, right? And Papa Purusha, since he was created by Lord Vishnu, he said Lord Vishnu that he will do whatever he commands. So listening again and again the cries and pain of the people, Vishnu's compassionate heart melted and it took a feminine form. So there was a personification which was created from his from the melting of Lord Vishnu's compassionate heart. And she said, the feminine form said, on this day, whosoever performs the spiritual activity and serves the Lord Vishnu would be free from all their sinful reactions. So after this, Lord Vishnu didn't knew, and Lord Vishnu also inquired that who she is and who had sent her. To which she replied that from an exact quote point of view, that I am your servant, Ekadasi. Ekadasi from the meaning point of view was one, and Dasi is servant, one of the servant of Lord Vishnu. And her existence came when Lord Vishnu's heart melted from the compassion which he felt from all those cries and pain of people. And she requested for benediction to free people who chant Lord Vishnu's name on Ekadasi Tithi, and they would be free from all their sins and all the sinful reaction. The benediction was granted by the Lord. Now, people who were suffering and then started to chant and were liberated from all their sufferings. Now, this problem was solved. So people's problem was solved. But the benediction created one more problem, which is that there was no work for the Papa Purusha, because his birth or his existence was just to punish people who were committing sins. So he went to Lord Vishnu, Papa Purusha went to Lord, and he asked that what is he supposed to do now? Lord Vishnu was also confused, and he said that what needs to be done. After a, a thought, Lord Vishnu said that when Ekadasi manifests, then uh, he should hide in grains, right? And that is where generally we say that from a spiritual point of view, we should not consume grains because Papa Purusha resides in the grains. Okay. A similar thing is also mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in the Gita, right? And there is an exact mention of it. So we are going to, Madan Prabhuji is going to tell us that how, where, in which verse Srila Prabhupada has referred that. Shall I move to the next slide, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Okay. So from a spiritual point of view, there is one more story of demon Muru, which I have not shared, but it has been briefly mentioned into the YouTube video. And there are many such stories. Now, related things that how the fasting needs to be done, right? So as per the Patanjali Sutras, following are the methods from a complexity and from its impact point of view. Right? So the best way which is suggested is that one should fast without water and food, which is also called as Nirjal and full fast. The next is by fasting or taking just water. The next would be by taking water with fruit juices. The next would be eating fruits. And the last would be fasting with the Ekadasi Prasad. But it is also mentioned in the Yoga Sutras, and it is also confirmed by medical science that a full fast is not good for your health, and one needs to sip lukewarm water as it dissolves the acids and flushes which our body creates. Shall I move to the next slide?
Please.
Next was that how do we please Krishna by fasting? So the answer which was given was that you don't get Krishna by fasting, but you absorb your consciousness so much in the service of Krishna that you reduce your basic needs of eating, sleeping. So that was the point given. Next is, are there people who are exempted from this fast? So there are two categories. One is the pregnant woman, and people below 8 and above 80 years are exempted from the upavas. And from a conclusion point of view, apart from the biological benefits or body benefits, Ekadasi fasts is all about purifying our souls and preparing ourselves towards attaining salvation. And one should follow or keep a 36 hours fast, engage completely in the service of Krishna via our 11 senses, read scriptures, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, associate with Vaishnavas, chant, japa and do kirtan, visit holy places, service Tulsi and the deity, and reduce our needs of the body and increase the needs of our soul in the mood of humility, forgiveness, and tolerance and chant. So this is what I understood from the video, and that's the conclusion which I draw. Prabhuji, you can add if
Yes,
my understanding.
we can remove this, Prabhuji.
Sorry?
Remove the presentation.
Okay. Yeah.
I can see everybody. Okay, thank you. So wonderfully explained in few slide lessons of all that 1 hour long lecture. Sharing both the reasons, scientific and spiritual reasons. So Ekadashi is very, very important fast for devotees, for Vaishnavas. It's also called Madhava Tithi, why it's very dear to Krishna. Now, as he mentioned, the purpose of fasting is upavas. We spend maximum time near Krishna. Upavas, we stay close to Krishna. That is the purpose. Purpose is basically that we are absorbed in terms of our consciousness in different spiritual activities like chanting, like reading scriptures, hearing lectures, yeah, or serving deity in your house, serving tulsi in your house. That is the purpose. And trust me, when you're engaged in these activities, most of the time, you don't feel hungry or thirsty. So, spiritual engagements naturally reduce bodily needs. Naturally. Like Parishit Maharaj, he heard Bhagavatam for 7 days and 7 nights together. So Sukhdev Goswami asked him after 5 days, are you not feeling hungry? Not being thirsty? Take something, take some rest. Well, no, I don't want any rest. I don't want anything. I am already drinking the nectar through my ears. So I am full. I don't need anything else. So you can experience yourself. When you're absorbed in spiritual subject matters, our bodily requirements in terms of hunger and thirst comes down naturally. So no extra endeavor required. But if you sit only and fast, then after 2 hours, you'll end up eating something for sure. You'll end up drinking something for sure. So on this day, the purpose has to be fulfilled is, absorbing your consciousness in spiritual subject matters. Then this fast becomes easy, is no more difficult. There are many devotees who keep Nirjala on every Ekadashi. Many devotees like this. But you don't have to do that. You eat, no problem. You can take, fruits, you can take dry fruits, but spend more time in spiritual activity. That is the purpose of this day. And completely avoid grains on this day. You know who is hiding in the grains. Now it is disclosed. It is in the newspaper now that who is hiding in the grain. That's why grains are avoided. And we will not die. Don't worry. If we don't eat grains on one day, nothing will happen to us. In fact, it will have a very positive impact on our health. It flushes out all toxins. If one is fasting on every 12th or every 11th, every 2 weeks basically. Ekadashi comes every 2 weeks. Okay, so we'll ensure that you get message for Ekadashi day, previous day, so that you're informed well in time. We'll share you the calendar also. And then we break Ekadashi by eating some grain on the next day during a specific time, which is called as Paran time, in which you break the fast. If you're keeping Nirjala, then you drink water, your fast is broken. If you're eating fruits and drinking water and all that, maybe a piece of grain you can eat and break the fast. During Paran time, you're supposed to be breaking the fast. Okay? So I can only request, it is purely voluntarily. So if you keep, you'll get definitely a lot of benefits spiritually. You can try. From next Ekadashi. So thank you very much, Sunil Prabhu. It was wonderful, very crisp presentation. So like this, everybody will get opportunity to prepare and present. Because finally, as Mahajan Prabhu says again and again, how do you spread this knowledge? Because we need preachers. So you all get an opportunity to preach to this small group so that one day you can start preaching outside also. When your confidence level goes up, your knowledge about scripture goes up, then you can start preaching to other people also. That's how we propagate this knowledge. Knowledge is preserved by propagation. If there is no propagation, knowledge will be lost. Yeah? So what is the way to preserve knowledge? By propagating it, by spreading it. So as much as we spread, to the extent we'll preserve this for our, coming generations. Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry again, we took almost 1.5, 2 hours. Thank you for your patience. We'll see you next Sunday. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.